Okay, hello. So please introduce yourself to my channel and tell them the premise of your film Tether.
Hi, so my name's Hariharasudhen Nagarajan. I'm the director and producer of Tether. The premise of Tether deals with the aftermath of a mass shooting attack. The story takes place 3 years after a mass shooting attack. Uh, we have Leonard, who's the father who lost his daughter in the school shooting. He's still grieving over the loss of his daughter, and he's trying to reconnect with his estranged wife. When this process happens, he bumps into Gerald, the ex school resource officer who froze on the day of the shooting and was unable to prevent, the massacre. How these two lives get intertwined, and what more darkness will get unleashed, is what Tether is about.
Yes, absolutely. And tell me about your reactions of reading the script for the first time, and tell people a bit about your scriptwriter.
Sure. So Angus Hoover is the script writer for Tether. When I read the script initially, more than the thriller element, I think it was about the family. Um, I think typically when we tell these kind of stories about a mass shooting attack, we kind of show. I think films tend to navigate. I think, at least to me, they tend to navigate towards how good this family was, how perfect this family was, and tragedy struck. But here, this is a family that has its own problems happening. Everybody has their own perspectives, be it the father, be it the mother, be it the daughter. That was the most exciting part for me when reading the script. Along with that, obviously, you're getting another perspective of a school resource officer who has his own take and how he is grieving differently post the shooting attack. So these elements all combined made me want to tell the story.
Cool, cool. And would you say you toned things down emotionally or ramped them up?
It's a good question. I think the content was the subject matter was already very emotional, and at sometimes triggering in itself. I just wanted to ensure with the directing, we didn't want to go even more emotional than this to make it more melodramatic. I feel the emotion will speak for itself, and that would be left for the audience to decide on how they see things. But I think, we tried to keep it, I think, throughout the film. In terms of the music, I think it's just 25% of the film is with music, filled with music, but the rest, everything is filled with silences. So it's having the audience participate in the conversation, and also have that judgment without, music kind of trying to tell them to feel things. So in that way, I think, we've tried to be as subtle as possible with the emotional aspect of the film.
Okay. And was there ever like an emotional struggle on set?
I think more than me, it was, I think the actors who played these parts, they had to take these parts home. They had to carry these characters home, and we had to film this in 10 days. So it was a very tight schedule. So I think Nick Gidris, who played Leonard, he had to carry this character home, and he told in in one of our interviews that he didn't listen to music for throughout the filming days, even outside of set, because he couldn't come out of the role of Leonard. The same with Ben, who played Gerald. I think they had a more of an emotional struggle, and it took them some time to get out of this character. But for me, I think processing the story itself, trying to make this, was a very big struggle in itself. So yeah, no, I think, uh, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, for sure. It makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. So what were the key lessons for making short films that were applicable to this, your first feature film?
I think each short film that I made was a learning in itself. I felt like, for example, I had made like a couple of short films where I had handheld cinematography, but I felt throughout making those short films that mm, doing handheld cinematography is a very it's I think only certain cinematographers could pull that off, to make it look very natural. That's what I felt. But I think these kind of things. So with the feature film, I had to be very careful with the way I used handheld cinematography versus using shots on sticks. I think throughout the film you would see it's mostly going to be sticks, but in some places where it demands handheld photography, I'd go for that. Another thing I felt was, while making short films, I think I kind of always read the script and let's go and make it, like, because as the initial stage of being a filmmaker, you always want to get some things out for the world to see. But here I think this is such a long process. This is like an 85-minute film. It's a big learning experience, so I wanted to take time with the story, take time with writing this material with my writer Angus, and he was so helpful with the process. When I had some questions regarding the first draft of the script, he was like, okay, no problem, let me just go and rewrite something for you. And he was able to rewrite whatever issues I had with the material. Not issues, but I feel this could be done better, this could be done better. He was always ready to give me a lot of options with the script, and it was so collaborative. So it was a pretty long process. I would say it's like an 8-month process, along with the pre-production going on at the same time. But it was great. I think like it was a process of discovery throughout, and these things I didn't do during the short film phase. I think I wanted to just go and make the film. But it is great. I think I really loved working with someone who was very collaborative, who was open to feedback, and he wanted to improve the material.
It seems like there was a lot going on, and it must have been chaotic, but you must have been filled with endorphins as well. So you must have had the energy to meet the occasion, right?
Definitely, I think the story that we were going to say excited me so much. I think like I think when we went through so many rewrites, but I think the initial reaction I always had when I read the script, in whatever form it was, like I think all those elements got retained, and we added like a lot of interesting elements after that. And I think it was always a process of trying to keep that excitement in that same level, and trying to not lose track of why we are telling this story, and what's really the purpose of it. So yeah, no, I think that excitement, I think it still remains. I'm so excited to see what people would think about the film, would feel about the film, on June 22nd at Dances with Film. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you anticipate from Dances with Film Festival? What do you think what's it going to be like when you introduce the movie and then sit down in the dark audience and watch it with a bunch of people who haven't been immersed in it like you have been?
No, I this is going to be the first time I'm also going to watch like on a big screen. Like so far, I've been watching it in like laptops or like slide, or maybe the sound design studios where I had like the biggest screen possible. But it's just with a couple of other people. But I think Dances with Films, they promote independent films like no other festival does. They are very different in terms of attracting films, stories versus attracting stars, which I think what most of the other top tier festivals are about. But I really think with this film, um, the I wanted to make this film irrespective of the stars, irrespective of who's going to come on board. I made this film without thinking I'm going to get a single dollar out of it. I'm like, okay, whatever money I'm going to spend, even if I don't get a single dollar out of it, it's going to be there. Like somewhere, somebody's going to watch it. That's all that mattered to me. And I think Dances with Films have that same ethos. Like they also want to promote these kind of films, and I know this film cannot be made anywhere else or by anyone else other than me. So I'm excited about that. So I'm happy that they are screening it. But with audiences trying to watch it for the first time, I hope that this is a conversation starter where people would think about where our society is heading. What is the futility of gun violence, and kind of direct the questions to the people in power, hopefully. And but at the same time also, like, have these kind of films, like have films where you talk about gun safety more, and make this more mainstream. I think with this film, you would have seen it has a very mainstream treatment, um, on a very surface level. So it has something for the mainstream audience as well. So I'm just hoping that this topic is taken by people who are like operating at a more mainstream level. So there is more awareness, and there is more, like call to action happening, rather than this kind of topic sticking just to the independent space. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a solid ambition. Which other directors influenced this emotionally visceral piece of work?
Um, I in terms of the film, like I think in terms of like the mood of the film, we had Manchester by the Sea in terms of the look, and I think even the in my writer Angus was uh, drawn towards Manchester by the Sea in terms of the writing aspect of it. But I think for me as a filmmaker, I've had a bunch of films shape me. I want to start with Tamil films, like that's Tamil is my mother tongue. So I've had films like Medras or Asuran, a couple of films, just to name a few, that inspired me in terms of what I want to tell as like a very political story. That's something that I want to kind of do. In terms of the filmmaking style, I've always been. I love the work of Paul Thomas Anderson, along with David Fincher and Martin Scorsese. So, uh, try to like use these influences in terms of the style, and try to make something original by myself. At the end of the day, I want to do something that is like that's distinct to me, and distinct to this story, to kind of suit the vision of this story. But yeah, so I think in terms of prep, I think like whatever I could, like use whatever I've seen from their films, and maybe like in terms of the political ambitions, at least like the politics of the film from the films that I watched in Tamil. I tried making.
Okay, great. Those all sound excellent. It's really interesting to hear about the Tamil influences as well, because I don't know anything about that. Good to know. Would you experiment in other visual storytelling forms like music videos and TV?
Definitely, I'm open to music, doing music video and TV. It's just I want to experiment, but then right now my mind's trying to do narrative features, but I don't know what the future holds for me. But I'm keeping all options open.
Yeah, good stuff. And you never know how things can bleed in and influence your
Exactly.
filmmaking career later on. I don't know. Is there an emotional state you want to bring people through after the prevailing darkness of your film?
Could you repeat your question? Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Is there an emotional state you want to people to end the movie with after the prevailing darkness throughout most of the film?
uh I think this film is about hope. I think this film does end, although the ending is bleak. I still feel this film leaves people with hope. It is dedicated to people who have survived, these tragedies in the past, and it's a tribute to them. To be honest with you, uh, as audiences, I think at least when I don't want this story to be mine in the future. If I'm here in US and I have a family of my own, I don't want something to affect my family this way. And I hope people who are going to watch this, uh, they should have the positive feeling. But I just hope that people feel very differently to different films, but we can't tell what they need to feel and stuff. But my at least my wish is like it starts a conversation. That's really my hope from this.
Okay, great, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time. Will you continue to make such emotionally uncompromising movies such as Tether in the future?
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Okay, but yeah, will you continue to make movies such as Tether? Are you going to stay emotionally uncompromising in the future?
Again, it's a great question. I personally feel that after everything that I've been through after filming this film, like November, in terms of uh, reaching out to people, trying to promote the film, trying to ask people, I feel personally, for some reason I was so gutsy with respect to making this film. There was no compromises, there's no filter. But I think the reality is in my opinion, slightly different. I think the world functions slightly differently. You need to make compromises. I might make better films than this in terms of the making, in terms of the writing, but I just don't know if I'll have the same level of guts that I had to make this film. So even there, I'm like little uncertain on what I'm going to do in future. But I think this is the most gutsiest film I'll ever make.
Well, beautiful, and you got to make it, and that's a beautiful thing. And only time can tell, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.